so hard to be here. Because you were in school doesn't mean that's the only resource you need to use to learn. There were so many things out there that you can use. There were simulations, there were videos, there were games, there were your professors, there were even your parents. They're willing to teach you anything if it means that you will perform well. And nobody is going to prevent you from getting information. So why do we all just sit here? Why do we all sit down, go to class, read our textbook at the end of the day, and assume that's all we need? And then at the end of the day, we get our test scores back, we say, oh no, I got a very bad grade. And then we move on. Why do we do that instead of helping ourselves? What can we do to change the circulation of STEM? And why are we all so scared of most subjects, but in particular, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics? And trust me, it's not just a problem with your own mindset. Teachers have not been teaching any curriculum the right way, especially STEM, since the beginning, at least in my opinion. How do we fix this? What power do you have to change the current state of STEM and STEM learning, and not only your school, for not only yourself, but also your school and your wider community? You have a lot more power to change it than you think, especially if you're a teacher or you're a part of the administration. So, once again, I really do encourage you to go out there and seek as many resources as you possibly can. Nothing is going to help if you're sitting there in class and you're reading the textbook and you still get bad grades. You can't listen any harder or read any faster. Nothing's going to help after you read your book once and you listen to your teacher once, and it still isn't working. So, what do you do in that case? What do you do when your teacher and your textbook aren't helping you? You just accept, yeah, no, I'm no good at this. You just fail out of school? No, you don't. There are so many places where you can get your own education. And of course, getting good marks on your test is definitely important. Understanding the material and the concepts is the utmost importance. But is it really important that you specifically have to listen to your teacher and you specifically have to read that one textbook in order to understand it? Maybe you can do something more productive in class. Maybe your teacher just isn't connecting to you that well. Because, they can't read your mind. Or maybe it's a rare case where your teacher is actively trying to discourage you, but they really don't believe you. In that case, just ignore them. Because, what are they going to do to you? In 1 year, you're never going to see them again. So, what can you do to help yourself? I think that my personal story connects a lot with this, because when I was in kindergarten, which is basically preschool, in first grade, in second grade, and third grade, I felt like I was wasting so much of my time. I already understood everything that was in class. It felt like school itself was just something that wasn't helpful. So instead of taking the time to listen to my teachers, I was already acing all the tests. So instead, I would just bring a book to class and read it instead, so I could educate myself on my own time. And for those of you who feel like you're struggling in class, it's the same exact thing. Instead of listening to your teacher, if that's not helping you enough, you can read a book during your class time or during your lunch time or during your free time at home. No one's going to help you if you aren't already seeking help. You see all of these opportunities for assistance right in front of you, and yet you're not taking out and reaching out to any of them. Personally, I've had lots of trouble understanding some concepts in school too. Maybe my teacher was just not passionate enough. I had one teacher in high school who would simply read off the textbook and look up videos to present online while she was eating her own lunch. And it was not engaging to me at all, of course. No one was learning from the class. Not just me, but I talked to all of my other classmates, and they hated it as well. So, what did I do to overcome that? What did I do to overcome my teacher's lack of passion for the subject? Or maybe a lack of knowledge, I don't really know. What did I do to overcome that? Well, I didn't listen to my teacher any harder, or I didn't read the specific textbooks that we had any harder. Instead, I looked for my own books and resources, the ones that fit with me the most. I looked for my own simulations and drawings and diagrams that were interactive and understandable, and that I could play around with. And most importantly, I looked to other people who already understood the same exact thing for help. I looked to my brother. I looked to my professors. I looked to people online who were willing to tutor me and help. And eventually, I got everything figured out. And sometimes even passionate teachers struggle to get the point across to me. Once, while I was learning trusses and truss grid system for engineering class, I was having a very hard time understanding any of it. It felt unusually difficult. No matter how hard I listened to my teacher and how hard he explained it to me in his own free time, I just couldn't understand it at all. So what did I do? I didn't listen to my teacher any harder, didn't read the textbook any harder, well, we didn't even have a textbook. Instead, I looked for resources and help online. I found this very nice simulation of a bridge trust system, which really helped me visualize how the forces, stress and strain forces on buses worked out. I was able to contact my brother for help since he already took the same exact course and had to learn the same exact things. And eventually I had it figured all out. So what are we doing just sitting here without actually seeking out assistance actively? There are so many ways that you can help yourself, and yet we're not seeking out any of them. You don't just have to listen to your teacher and read the book. That's not the magic formula for getting good grades. Because I know for many of you it doesn't work. Not all of us are perfect. So, well, the greatest piece of advice I would give is seek help. Seek as much help as you can as fast as possible. Because you have so much potential, but these tests that are upcoming, these marks that you have to get, they're not going to wait for you to actually understand everything. They're not going to wait for the teacher to finally explain it in a way that clicks for you. You have to look out for these resources that you can understand on your own. And only then will you be able to get it. And I guess I'll provide one more simple little analogy. Imagine you're playing like a fast-paced online game, right? So, if you read a book about one of these fast-paced games, no matter how hard you read this book, no matter if you read it once or twice or 3 times, you're never going to be better at this game than someone who's played it themselves for even maybe a week or a month. So, books, just reading doesn't help you nearly as much as actually having experience with the subject. So I highly encourage you to seek out simulations or ways you can make these things and experiments hands-on. I personally wasn't able to understand anything from my math and physics classes until I was able to actually play and tinker around with it. So, you will never get everything from just listening to your teacher and reading the book and being a good student. You can instead get everything from actually seeking out as much help as you can. So, that's essentially what I wanted to talk about. But, one more thing. Sometimes, help isn't enough. Sometimes you also need motivation. For instance, when I was taking several college level courses as well as my high school classes in fall of 2023, it felt so overwhelming. No matter how much help I got from my brother when he was around, no matter how much I searched everything up online, it felt like I just couldn't meet every single deadline. I was falling behind. Several points were being deducted because I was late on every single thing. On the exams, I didn't get the parts. Searched everything up online. It felt like I just couldn't meet every single deadline. I was falling behind. Several points were being deducted because I was late on every single thing. On the exams, I didn't get the particularly good marks. So, instead, I felt like I had no motivation to actually keep going forward. At one point, I even contemplated dropping out. After lots of motivation from not only my peers, my classmates, and also my family, especially my dad and my brother, and my mom, of course, all of them really helped me to get through this without failure. Your family is always looking out for you. They want the best for you. But of course, they can't read your mind. And they're not accompanying you to your own classes. It's not like they understand that you're under so much pressure yourself that you can't keep up with all of your deadlines. If you need motivation, just ask for it. And of course, your parents or your brother or whoever you can reach out to, maybe even your friends if your family isn't supportive enough, someone out there is willing to give you the motivation. Maybe even me, who knows? So, finally, those are the 2 messages I wanted to give. Essentially, you have to seek out as much help as you can. You can't just sit there sulking about why you can't get the best grades. You have to seek out help. And sometimes it's not just understanding you need, but motivation. So, one last thing I'd like to ask you, and I'd like you to keep in your head as you walk out of this auditorium today. One last thing I'd like to ask you is, remember that answer that you had to my question earlier. What subject do you wish you could skip in class? And I want you to come back to that subject and ask yourself, what can you change about your understanding of that subject and the way you learn that you haven't done yet? What can you do for yourself, and what can others do for you that you haven't done yet, or they haven't done yet? So that's my final message to you all. Thank you, everybody, and namaste.